I fluctuated as to whether I wanted to be Walt Disney or Paul McCartney. You know, I was like, which one do I want to be?
Yeah.
That's the thoughts of a young kid.
Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah.
We want to be our inspirations. I found a book called The Illusion of Life. It was basically a handbook written by Ollie Johnston and Frank Thomas, two of Walt's 9 old men. It was like a how-to manual of how to make a Disney movie, how to animate a Disney character, how to design a Disney character. We walk in the lobby and I'm standing there like going, I'm going to get arrested in the very place where I'm trying to get a job.
Trying to get a job.
My mom never knew what to make of my career goals. Saying I want to be an animator just sounded unrealistic. And after I'd been in Hollywood about a year, she apologized and said, I'm sorry. I didn't think you'd ever make it. If you really want to get down to it, I helped design a Disney character.
Well, I mean, that's not many people can say that.
This is a great lesson in life, is you never know who's watching and what it could lead to.
Hey everybody, welcome back to The Blueprint. Today we're with Bob Arvin, director, movie producer, on a good day. So we're going to see what he has to say. Check it out. And do me a favor, if you guys could just hit that subscribe button at the bottom, it's going to help us get more of these stories out and just get us a little more exposure. So please and thank you. Hey Bob, how are you today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. I really appreciate you getting on here because you have a completely different story than we've told before, which is, super cool because I like to kind of dance in and out of the different avenues that people take, but yours is off a different path. Tell me a little bit about yourself and where you grew up.
I grew up just outside of Louisville, Kentucky, in a place called Oldham County. And my dad was actually school superintendent for 15 years. So pretty much from the time I think I was in second grade till beyond my graduation, he led that school district. And, it was a great place to grow up because we could be in Louisville in like 15 minutes, do whatever we wanted. But I got a nice rural style upbringing. It had pretty much been farmland up until the time I was growing up there. And then kind of subdivisions started popping up. So we had a nice hybrid. Yeah. It was a great time to be growing up, great place to grow up.
Yeah. What was family like growing up?
I had a really great family. I felt like I kind of grew up as Leave It to Beaver. I would have been Wally, the older brother.
Yeah.
My dad, being a community leader, certainly had an impact on me. My mom gave up her career as a teacher to raise my brother and I, look after the home, which, that was a great stabilizing factor. Not quite so common these days as it was back then. But great community. We went to a good church. Our high school had like 1,500 students, so it was a pretty good size. And I was plugged in with the marching band. So that was great too. Because you have like 150 other people that have the same goals and you're all trying to achieve something together and go through the highs and lows of life together for 4 years. And so that was a lot of fun too. At
1,500, you grew up all the way K through 12 and you're in the same town?
Yes.
And then was it same school? Was it divided?
Well, there were a number of elementary schools and then about the time I went into middle school, they split to 2 middle schools. So the community was growing. Since we were the next county over from Jefferson County, where Louisville was, in the 70s, they started busing students to try and integrate. And a lot of people that, were weary about putting their kid on a bus to ride an hour across town, they were like, well, I can hop over the county line to Oldham and so many did. And so our community grew, and it's continuing to grow to this day. But we ended up with 2 middle schools at that point, but we still only had 1 high school. So we all kind of funneled towards that high school. And so that was pretty cool because you got to meet the people that were at the other middle school and make new friends. And But there was also that continuity. There were people that I graduated with that I'd known since first grade.
Yeah. When you were in high school, were you into other things like sports or art or theater or anything like that?
Yes, it was a hard choice for me between music and art.
Okay.
Because in middle school I got to do both. I got to take an art class and I was in the band.
What'd you play?
Trumpet.
Okay.
And but I'd played piano since first grade, and I still do to this day. But you know, I had to make a tough choice. Am I gonna be in band or art in high school? And I got to do both. I didn't take the art class, but you know, I'm sure it had nothing to do with the fact that my dad was school superintendent. But I was continually asked. It actually started in 8th grade. They wanted the school mascot on the wall. And so my art teacher had me spearhead a group of like 10 students to our mascot was the Colonel. And
Colonel Sanders.
Well, we made him look more like kind of, but not in white. But we painted the Colonel up on the gym wall. And so that kind of planted a seed in the principal's mind that we could do that.
Yeah.
And so he asked me to do another one that I did on my own. And so by the time I got to high school, I kind of became known as the guy that was painting the murals. So the whole time I was in high school, I painted various mascots on the walls. We had 2 gyms, one's for the girls team and one for the boys team. So I painted both gym floors. And our girls team won the state championship my senior year.
That's awesome.
And it was amazing for me because I've been following that girls team since I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
Our neighbor was on the team.
Weren't we all? Yeah.
Yeah. And so the fact that we won on a last second shot my senior year was just amazing. So that summer after my senior year, they hired me to paint a mural dedicated to that team on the wall.
That's cool.
And it survived until 6 months ago.
Wow. Okay. What happened to it?
They tore down the building.
Oh, okay.
So it lasted all the way up to the end of that building.
Did you ever go touch it up or anything?
No.
Anybody touch it up?
No, I used Sign Painter's One Shot that lasts for an eternity.
Is it indoors?
It was indoors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it could last for an eternity.
Well, that they don't make paints like that anymore.
Yeah.
But I when I found that Sign Painter's One Shot, I mean, it's just unbelievable. It would go on very nice and smooth, durable. And the colors were just as vibrant the day they tore it down as when I put it up back in 86.
That's amazing. So you thought maybe I'm going to be an artist coming out of this?
I fluctuated as to whether I wanted to be Walt Disney or Paul McCartney. You know, I was like, which one do I want to be?
Yeah.
You know, that's the thoughts of a young kid.
Sure. Yeah.
We want to be our inspirations, but I was really leaning towards music. When I got out of high school, but I kept getting the art gigs. And so that's where I kind of gravitated towards.
So you played the trumpet and the piano, and you were a songwriter, I'm guessing?
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay.
We had a band that we did demo, and one of my side hustles when I was in college, I ended up working for several radio stations doing their promotional artwork. And I finally got to work for the cool radio station that did the rock and roll music.
Yeah.
And I started in adult contemporary, but I was like, I'd really like to be over there.
Yeah.
And part of the deal was they let me use their studio at night. And so we would have never, I mean, you know, this was early 90s. So we were on 1-inch tape. You know, the best that a kid like me could have done back then was maybe like one of those, what was it, a Fostex cassette 4-track.
Yeah.
And here we were with a 1-inch 8-track, and they gave me free rein in the evenings, and it was amazing. So, you know, we fooled around in there for about a year, and I didn't know anything about engineering, so the recording sounded pretty lame, but some of the songs we came up with were halfway decent. But
so what happened? You guys just decided to break up? Life happens kind of scenario?
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is with a band, and especially the folks that we had in the group, were all very talented, but, you know, typical career path. They were going to school to study to be X, Y, and Z, and that's what they went and did. You know, it was a little more different for me. The main reason I went to college was because my dad was a school superintendent. My mom was a teacher. My mom's mother, she had gone and finished her schooling in her 40s. And my grandfather didn't get to finish high school because he went to World War II.
Okay.
So the mentality then was, you got to go to college. You're not going to make anything of yourself unless you go to college. And I really wasn't into it.
Surely.
And the fact that while I was there, I was getting gigs working for the radio stations, and also I was getting all sorts of client gigs. They didn't pay much, but I was working. I was doing what I wanted to do. And I would ask people, what are you doing with your degree? And they'd be like, nothing. Yeah. And so it just deflated me, but I couldn't pull myself out because I felt like I'd be letting my family down.
Surely.
So, you know, that was like 4 or 5 years of my life, just kind of bouncing back and forth between where I really should have been focused and going and trying to do what I was supposed to be doing.
When you took, so you chose art or music in school or business? What was the degree in?
Well, I knew I wanted to be an animator.
Okay.
And back then that would have meant hand-drawn animation.
Yep.
And the only game in town really anymore was Disney, and they were kind of down and out.
Yeah.
But what really influenced me in those high school years, I mean, it was like a blessing to me that Disney was down and out, because what they were doing was churning through all their old library to try and make a buck. They really haven't changed much though, have they? And so like the Disney Channel, I mean, I remember when we got cable TV for the first time, and it was amazing. It's like, oh, we went from 4 channels to 40, and one of them is the Disney Channel, and I can watch Disney till my eyes fall out. And they were putting on documentaries about the 9 old men that were Walt's top tier animators. They were running old behind the scenes from their golden era in the 40s. And I was like going, man, that looks like a lot of fun. They're bringing these characters to life. I know how much I love these movies. And I was at the mall one day, and in the bookstore, yes, there used to be malls and bookstores, and I found a book called The Illusion of Life. And it was about an inch thick, and it was basically a handbook written by Ollie Johnston and Frank Thomas, 2 of Walt's 9 old men. It was like a how-to manual of how to make a Disney movie, how to animate a Disney character, how to design a Disney character, everything. I mean, it's the storytelling aspect, you know, why you would put your camera a certain way, why you do certain color palettes. I mean, you know, I went from just watching movies to studying them and figuring out, oh, this is why they're evoking a certain emotion at certain moments in a film, and how they did it. And that, it, you know, you start to realize that all these moments are designed, and really, you know, people pore over how to achieve that. And so here I am watching Ollie Johnston on the television, on the Disney Channel, being interviewed. Here I have his book, and I'm like, well, what the heck? You know, we didn't have the internet then, so I had to call information, and I got the phone number for Disney Studios. And I knew Ollie was retired, but I thought, I'm going to call and ask for him, see what happens. And sure enough, the nice receptionist like, well, Mr. Johnston doesn't work here anymore. He's retired, but he does check his messages periodically, so I'll let him know you called. And must have been 3 months later, while I was at school, because 3-hour time difference between Kentucky and Los Angeles. And my mom picks up the phone, and they're like, will you accept a collect call from Ollie Johnston? And my mom's like, who? No. Click.
Oh, no.
And then as soon as she hung up, she was like, oh no. Ollie realized what had happened. And during our dinner time, the phone rang again. And they're like, yes, we'll accept the charges. I got to speak to Ollie for like 45 minutes.
Wow.
And, you know, I'll remember that till the day I die.
What would you guys talk about?
Well, he was asking about me. He was very gracious. Because obviously he knew I must have been interested in animation.
Mm-hmm.
He tried not to rain on my parade, but he was like, it's not like it used to be.
Yeah.
And he was right. You know, they had the young up and coming bunch back then. They were about to come out with The Great Mouse Detective, which isn't one of the more memorable movies. They just come off the failure of The Black Cauldron.
Mm-hmm.
They were really trying to find themselves, but you had some up and coming greats like Glenn Keane in that bunch too. That you know, really hadn't come into their own yet. But he told me about Cal Arts, which is pretty much where animators would go get their training. Well, he told me a few anecdotes about Walt, and I honestly can't even remember which ones he told me because it hit me that I'm talking to a guy that knew Walt Disney. So here I was 18 years old geeking out too much to hear the rest of the story. But we did bond a bit on, he asked me which Disney movie was my favorite. And I told him The Jungle Book, and he said, that's mine too. And I even watched The Jungle Book just a few months ago. I hadn't seen it in years. And it's still just as great as it ever was. I think that is probably some of the best animation that will ever be done. But yeah, so that really skewed me towards animation. But I wasn't ready to leave home.
Yeah.
And, you know, not only did our girls basketball team win the state championship, but the University of Louisville won the national championship that same year.
Right.
And I was a big U of L fan. And I was like, that would be fun to be in the Louisville pep band and go to those NCAA ball games. And for those that don't know, NCAA ball in Kentucky is like what football is in Texas.
Yeah.
And so I did manage to get in the U of L pep band, and I'd go to academic counseling, and they'd be like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I'd like to work at Disney, be an animator. And the look every time was like, well, what are you doing here?
Yeah. And you're like, have you seen the pep band?
Yeah. So I probably would have pulled myself away sooner.
Yeah.
If it hadn't have been for being in the pep band, and I had to be in the marching band to be in the pep band. So I did 4 more years of marching band in college. But it wasn't until I finally pulled myself away from college, and that was hard. I mean, my last semester at U of L, I mean, I was probably clinically depressed. I mean, I didn't come out of my dorm room. I was just like, I don't want to be here. I don't know what I want to do.
You knew it was coming to an end, and you know what road to take. Yeah.
I didn't know how my family would react. I mean, you know, they weren't going to disown me or anything.
Right.
But, you know, you build up these fears in your mind. And I just decided I'm going to work whatever crap job I have to. I was like, I'm still working at the radio station. That's pretty cool, but it certainly wasn't paying the bills. But I ended up rooming with anywhere from 2 to 3 other guys.
This is after you graduated.
Well, I never graduated.
You never graduated?
I never graduated.
Okay.
I just stopped. And these other guys were about a year out from graduating. And so we just went out and got an apartment together. And my grandfather was a shell dealer for 30 some odd years in the Louisville area. And that had been my first job. And so he was retired now. So I ended up working at other shell stations. After that, we moved to another apartment that was right across the street from the Sears catalog call center. And we all went and worked over there. It was part-time. You made $100 a week. And because they didn't want to pay anybody benefits. So they capped you at how many hours you could work. So I was doing
29 and a half hours.
Yeah. So I was doing the radio station, it's the gas station, and the Sears call center.
Yeah.
And when I was at Sears, I started to get to use some of my art. I did their Christmas cards one year, and then when they'd have special promotions for the staff, I'd do like some decorations they put up on the wall that I'd do them from scratch by hand. And so some people saw that. And, you know, and this is a great lesson in life, is you never know who's watching and what it could lead to. And one day I'm just sitting there, and we didn't really have cubicles. They were like pinwheels, and we were each, you know, a spoke in the wheel, basically. And the guy that was next to me leans over in between calls. He's like, dude, you want to work at the track? And we had just had the Kentucky Derby, and he was referring to Churchill Downs. And the funny thing is, the only time I'd been to Churchill Downs was 4 times with the U of L marching band to play Mo Kentucky home before the 8th race. And, you know, it's weird how you could live so close to a famous landmark like that. I lived 30 minutes away my entire life and didn't see it until I was 18 years old. But he leans over and goes, you want to work at the track? And I'm like, sure, what? You know, a new company had just taken over the video production. And they brought in a mobile truck from Carlsbad, California. And the guy that had been running the graphics computer was going back to California, and they needed somebody to basically be a button pusher. And so I was like, yeah, sure, give it a shot. And these guys were paying $75 a day, as opposed to my $100 a week at the Sears catalog. And they thought I'd just be sitting there typing, and then I realized, well, they had a Wacom tablet there.
Nice.
And
a Wacom tablet, for people that don't know, is something you can draw on with a pen to kind of translate whatever you're, just like drawing on paper, but it digitizes it and puts it on the screen.
But back then they didn't have a screen on it. It was just this rubber piece, and in the production truck, I had 3 small monitors that, you know, were basically for me to see the output of the computer and then the preview of what I was going to be sending to the main switcher. But so I couldn't see what I was doing on this, so I'd have to put it up on the monitor that was like 8 feet away. So I'm like drawing like this, looking at something across the room. But I started creating custom graphics for them. And then after every single race, we weren't tied into the main computer to get all the racing results. So I would have to see the report and type them in fast. And, you know, when you have a jockey with a name like Eddie Delahousse and you're typing that repeatedly, you know, you're like, there's got to be a better way. And one of the other interests that I did have growing up was in 8th grade, my dad got me a Radio Shack color computer, and it had 4K of RAM, and you had to program it using BASIC. And it sounds so limiting, but it was amazing, because if I wanted that computer to do something, I had to figure out how to make it happen. It wasn't just, I'm going to download something, install it, and run. It was like I had to, you know, code it essentially. And so I tapped into some of that and started opening up it turned out that graphics computer had a scripting language that I was able to figure out. And even though I couldn't keep a database, I figured out how to get a script to write another script. And so I was able to, at the beginning of the day, essentially create all these little subscripts that had all the jockey names, all the owner and trainer names, the horse names. And so I could quickly, at the stroke of a key now, get Eddie Delahousse's name in there instead of having to type it every time and hope I didn't misspell it. And so that caught their attention, and the owners of that production truck were wanting to get their home track of Del Mar in San Diego, the contract there. And they had actually offered to do a season of production free to try and get the contract. And they needed an operator to go do that. So it was the exact same production truck, but they asked me to go out there for the summer meet. I was there out there for like 6 weeks in San Diego. And it was weird opening the door, and instead of seeing South Louisville, there was the beach.
That's a different look. Nice wake up.
But that was my first taste of living in California. So I went from the Sears catalog to a stint in California.
Just by somebody leaning over and go, psst. You know, it's funny how you walk through your life and you meet these people all over the place, right? And sometimes just saying yes opens the doors for a lot of other things because people are actually scared to take those steps sometimes, right? Yeah. Or listening when someone says, hey, man, I got something to connect you with, you know? And so San Diego's it. You're out there and you're checking that place out and you think, man, I'm really close to CalArt right now.
Exactly. So I decided I was going to come back. And so I think about 6 months later, I did decide to come back on my own, which meant that I had to cut loose all the safety nets, all the way from gas stations to radio stations to working at the track. And I just kind of put my finger down on the map, not knowing anything about Los Angeles. And I didn't pick the best of neighborhoods. It could have been worse. It certainly could have been worse. But the kid that went out with me, he had just graduated high school and wanted to just go do something. And so we were out there 6 months. And so my plan was work crap jobs and try and get into CalArts. And I submitted my portfolio and they rejected me. And I'd submitted, you know, the professional work I'd been doing for the radio stations and stuff. And like, well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. And it was interesting because I was like, I'm not just going to kind of take no. I want to get some feedback. And so I went in person to pick up my portfolio and said, can I speak to somebody to go over this with me and tell me what I could work on for the next submission? And it was the weirdest thing. The guy's looking at it and he's like, I don't know. I don't know why you didn't get in. I mean, you know, there's certainly lots of areas that I could have improved on that CalArts could help me with. But I guess in comparison to the submissions that did make it in. So, I mean, I figure I probably submitted late in the process and they had probably already filled their slots. And that's fine because I don't think that would have been a good path for me.
Yeah.
But for many people that was the right path, but not for me. So I made it 6 months in California. And of course, after I got rejected, then I really didn't know what I would be doing. And
how does that sit on you? Like, do you think, man, I've taken my life, I've uprooted everything, I've given up everything that I've made to this point. I came all the way down here and knocked on the door, and not only did they give me a no, but they said they didn't even know why they gave me a no. Now, are you questioning what's the next step? Because this may be harder than what you think, or where are we at with this?
I certainly didn't give up on myself. And even when I was depressed at the University of Louisville, I never really gave up on myself. I may not have known what the next step was. But yeah, during that time in California, it was tough. Funny enough, I was working another Sears job because I was working selling scratch and dent appliances and furniture. And just like that guy that leaned over to me, this couple came in, you know, probably in their 60s. They bought a sofa from me. And somehow we got talking about church. And I was like, you know, I haven't been to church in years. I really should start going back. And they're like, you know, we love our church. Like, we go to church at Rocky Peak up in Chatsworth. You know, check it out. I was like, well, all right. So my last month there, and I didn't know it was my last month there, I started going up there, really enjoyed the messages and the people I was meeting. And then my roommate said, dude, I'm joining the Air Force. So I couldn't pay rent on my own.
Yeah.
And so I had to go back home. And so I actually went back and worked a meet at Churchill Downs to earn enough money to go back and get my stuff in California and bring it home. But since race meets only last for, you know, a couple months, that only, you know, that's not a long-term solution.
Yeah. Where'd you keep your stuff while you were gone?
My roommate was still there.
Okay.
So yeah, I left him on his own for about a month while I went back home and worked.
Mm-hmm.
And then he joined the Air Force, and I didn't talk to him after that
ever again.
I mean, he joined the Air Force. You know, it's hard to keep touch with somebody. He was a great guy.
You ruined my dream.
But no, it wasn't his fault. He had to go his own way. And just a few months after we left was the Northridge earthquake. So we would have been riding that out.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, just like 2 miles away from the epicenter. So I'm kind of grateful that I was back in Louisville and all we had was like 2 feet of snow that day. I was like, I'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
But the real story of my life is how, like, even when I wasn't following God, he was still working in my life.
Mm-hmm.
That guy leaning over, me finding that church in Chatsworth. Now, I was back in Louisville going, now what?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the gas stations, you know, needed me to fill in for a third shift. They didn't hire me back, but they needed me to kind of fill in for the late guy, which was an iffy. The normal late guy usually kept a little revolver in his back pocket. So I'm sitting there at that gas station just reading the classified ads, trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Because it felt like I kind of had the start and then it already petered out.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up and there was this ad. The local NBC affiliate wanted an art director. And I thought, well, my experience at the track, maybe I could land that job. And while I was working at the track, I'd made a demo reel and I'd put it on Beta SP, a professional format, so that I can make as many dubs as I want. Problem is I didn't have a Beta SP deck. So I was like, where am I going to get this dubbed? And while I worked at the track, this guy named Dave would pop his head in because he worked on like the racing recap show every week for this company called VideoBred, BRED, like thoroughbred. And I thought, oh, that guy Dave, VideoBred, I bet they could dub my demo reel. So I called up, I'm sure they're like, yeah, come on, bring it down. And so Dave gives me a tour while this guy Jamie's were dubbing my demo reel. And off on the side of the edit bay is their graphics suite. And Dave goes in and introduces me to the woman working in there. And he's like, hey, this is Bob. He's applying for the art director's job down at Wave 3. And she's like, oh, did so-and-so leave? And he's like, oh, I don't know. Well, guess who got the job at Wave 3?
Uh-huh.
That girl in that VideoBred.
Oh, she left. Yeah, she's like, oh, let me go check that one real quick.
I wouldn't have liked it at Wave 3 anyway.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the closed door at Cal Arts, the closed door at Wave 3. And, but VideoBred now needed a graphic artist. Perfect fit for me at that time. And computer graphics were brand new. Even though they were invented really in the 70s and we had stuff like Tron, we were about at the time that Jurassic Park was hitting. And it was becoming a viable art form commercially and artistically. And
what year is this?
This would have been 93.
Okay.
And so VideoBred calls me and says, feel real bad. The only way that the woman found out about the job was because I told her while you were standing there. It's like, why don't you come down and interview with us? Because we need somebody now. Now, this is where the story gets really weird.
Yeah.
So I go and interview with them that morning. I had a friend from high school that I hadn't seen in 10 years. And he had shown up and visited me at my apartment. And I'm not a guy that, hey, let's go out to the bar or let's watch the game, or that's just not me. But this guy was like, hey, there's some friends. They're watching the ball game down at the Silo, which was this bar right around the corner from VideoBred. And then this was like a 20-minute drive from where I live. So it's not like we're just going around the corner. So we go down there. And as we walk in, there's another guy sitting at the end of the bar holding a VHS camcorder that was a childhood friend of my brother's that had gone to Western Kentucky University and been in their video department. And I'm like, hey, haven't seen you in forever. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, I'm working with my pal over at VideoBred. And I'm like sitting at a bar holding a VHS camcorder. And it's like, what? He's like, yeah, you want to go on over? And I'm like, I just interviewed there this morning. Uh-huh. I don't know. And this was like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like going, I don't know if it's really good. He's like, oh, come on over.
Yeah.
So we walk over to VideoBred and the doors are completely unlocked, which I later found out was pretty typical there. So it's pitch dark outside. Doors are unlocked. We walk in the lobby and I'm standing there like going, I'm going to get arrested in the very place where I'm trying to get a job.
Trying to get a job. Night of.
And
he was actually casing the place.
So then the guy, Jamie, that had run my demo reel earlier that day comes out of the back. And he's like, hey, you were here earlier. And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, you ran the dub of my demo reel. And I'm like, how do you know this guy? And he's like, oh, we went to Western Kentucky together. And he's like, what was your name again? And I'm like, Bob Arvin. And he's like, Arvin? It's like Mike Arvin's brother? And I'm like, yes. And so it turned out my brother had starred in all of Jamie's student project videos at Western Kentucky while he was studying to get his degree in video production. So I'd seen all his projects of exploding squirrels and stuff. And so right then, everything, it was just like, oh, this big exhale. And he's like, dude, you got the job. They feel so bad that, and sure enough, within a couple of days, I was there working at VideoBred.
That's amazing. Like, so you've, small world, opportunity happens, right? Door opens up, you go into something, you say it's brand new off the rip. Is there expectations they're telling you need to have, these skill sets, or is it like, hey, this is something new, we're going to learn this together?
Well, I mean, they were a well-established video production company, but computer graphics were still emerging. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like you could just go to the local school and say, hey, I need a computer graphics artist. Mm-hmm. And they were really only looking for somebody that could make charts and graphs and lay out text and that sort of thing. So they really needed somebody to fill a seat. It was kind of like when I got the job at the track. Mm-hmm. They needed somebody to fill a seat. Mm-hmm. So then you have an opportunity. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
So my time at VideoBred, there was a sofa in my office, and I don't even know why I rented an apartment during that time, because I most of the time slept on that sofa in the office. I did all the work VideoBred wanted me to do by day, but at night, I discovered that they had a 3D animation program. And it was so rudimentary by today's standards, but it was called Crystal Topaz 3D. Mm-hmm. I think it was like $11,000 for a seat.
Yeah.
Running on a 486 computer. I had like 256 megs of RAM. Mm-hmm. And it would only run on DOS.
Yeah.
So I had to choose. If I was going to use a painting program, I had to reboot, go into Windows to run high-res QFX, which was by Photoshop. Mm-hmm. And if I wanted to animate, I had to go back into DOS and run Crystal Topaz. And you could only create basic shapes and extrude them. And from that, I started building everything I could. And within a few months, they were basically offering animation services. And so instead of going and spending tens of thousands of dollars at Cal Arts, I got paid
to do it.
To not only learn a craft, but a brand new craft that within a year after Jurassic Park, everybody wanted an animator, and there weren't any. Mm-hmm. There weren't any computer animators, not enough to meet the demand. Mm-hmm. So I got paid to learn my craft instead of getting into debt
That's amazing.
To learn it.
That's amazing. I actually went to school for 3D animation as well. So worked on a Silicon graphics machine and had to DOS remote into it and was well outside of my skill set. I'd never touched a computer in my life and get to this point. So I'm kind of feeling some of the things you're feeling right now, and it's a kind of a cool journey. So like as you started to get in, I did not get paid to do mine. I had to pay to do it. So I caught on the other side of that. I was about I graduated in '95 from high school, so I was a few years behind you when it came to opportunities in that field. But where did you go, and how long did you stay inside of this one platform before some other ones really quickly came out?
I started being exposed to trade magazines, which I didn't even know existed before I worked at a post-production facility, and I started reading about 3D Studio, which was version 4 on DOS. Mm-hmm. And I had to beg and plead, please get me this software. Mm-hmm. And they finally relented. And I'd gotten a $500 Christmas bonus that year. And when they did our employee evaluations a few months later, they discovered that I'd spent my Christmas bonus on the Digimation training series for 3D Studio. And since we didn't have YouTube back then, this was like, it was amazing to watch somebody using the software and walk you through it and show you best practices. And I mean, you could read 1,000, computer manuals and not get the information that I got out of that training series. Now we take it for granted. You know, you just do a quick YouTube search and there's somebody, going, like and subscribe and here's how we do it. Uh-huh. And, but not then. And the owners of VideoBred were like, you spent your Christmas bonus on a video training series. They were like they thought I was a nut. Yeah. Yeah.
Investing in yourself though.
And what I ended up doing, I started doing my own projects on the side. Again, not going home, but I had recently started playing ragtime piano music because I wanted to push myself on the piano side. And so I was playing Scott Joplin music at the time. And it occurred to me that ragtime is really regimented to eighth notes. So I can chart that out. Mm-hmm. And so I probably put on a metronome in my ear and I played it on my digital piano. Mm-hmm. And I basically did a version of the radio station's Weasel mascot and dressed him up like, the Main Street piano player at Disneyland or something. Mm-hmm. And there were no armatures in 3D Studio. So I had to do segmented geometry and bends and stuff, but I got that Weasel to play Maple Leaf Rag. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even get to see it with sound because there we had 1-inch video decks. Mm-hmm. Their newer, fancier D2 digital decks, they didn't want me anywhere near because my computer could only lay off one frame of animation at a time. And back in the days of video machines, they would have to do a 5-second pre-roll and a 5-second post-roll. So if you're going to lay off 300 frames of animation, that's 300 times that deck has to spin up, lay down one frame, and spin back down. So that's a lot of wear and tear on the hardware. So they had me laying off to their old 1-inch tape decks that they really didn't give a rip about anymore. Mm-hmm. And so my buddy Jamie married that together in the editing suite. And it wasn't until then that I even knew if I had successfully got it in that Weasel to push down the right keys at the right time and sync with the music.
Gosh.
But I had that in my pocket. And I'd put the rest of the work I'd done at VideoBred and kind of cobbled together a demo reel. But what was I going to do with it? I was in Louisville, Kentucky. Where else was I going to go? Mm-hmm. I did have one other potential. I don't even know if I should share this, but there was one company in Louisville that tried to steal me away, but they were video production on the side, and they had another business that they did by day. And they were like, well, when you're not working on video production, you might have to do some production work for our main product. And I'm like, well, what is it? And like, it sounds like something out of Austin Powers, but they were like, well, they're penis enlargers.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, I think I'll pass on that.
Thank you, but I couldn't stare at that all day long. Yeah.
So, so what was I going to do with this demo reel? But I had it. And one day at VideoBred, one of our main clients was like, hey, again, being in the right place at the right time. This client goes, tonight at the Louisville Graphic Design Association, this producer from the Home Improvement TV show is going to be speaking. You guys want to go? And I'm thinking,
yeah.
But Jamie and the other editor that were up for it, and I'm like, I'll go hang out with you guys. Well, it was the Louisville Graphic Design Association. These were people that did illustrations for the newspaper and local magazines. They didn't know anything about. We were the only three in the room that knew anything about video production. And so this guy Jim was up there talking about all these things, and we were the only ones getting it. We were even sitting in the back, And so we went and talked to him afterwards, and he was like, "Yeah, here's my number. If you're ever in LA, let me know."
Yeah.
So the whole time I was at VideoBred, I just worked. I dove head first into what they had for me and building up my skill set. And after a couple of years, I had like 2 weeks worth of vacation built up. And so I'm like, I want to take a road trip. I'd bought myself a 94 Firebird Formula that had T-tops. And first time I'd had a like nice car like that. But not that I was making that much of VideoBred, but when you're that age, you're like, car.
Yeah.
But so I was going to drive cross country, and that's same friend from high school was working out in Hollywood as a grip, but he was visiting family in North Carolina. And I was like, well, why don't I pick you up at your grandparents and let's just drive to LA. I'll drop you off and I'll drive back. And so we just made up the trip as we went along. And, but I had called that guy, Jim, at Home Improvement and said, I'm going to be dropping off my friend in LA on such and such a date. And he's like, well, that sounds great. He's like, I'm going to be working. So it's going to be a working lunch, but you're welcome to join me in the edit bay. I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. See a Hollywood edit bay.
Yeah.
So the night before, my friend and I had been in Yellowstone National Park. There's nowhere near LA.
Right. Yeah.
But, and again, this was before GPS and being able to get estimates, and, we're dealing with paper maps and
gas station. Where down this road?
Which way's
then
LA?
Left? Yeah.
Well, they closed the southern entrance on Yellowstone National Park. We had to go out through Montana. So here we are coming out through Montana, basically less than a day before I'm supposed to go meet Jim in Burbank. So we drove all day, all night, just rotated, trying to sleep, drive, trying to sleep, drive. We got into LA like 2 hours before my meeting. I had enough time for like 30 minutes of this and a quick shower. And I walked into a Modern Video Film right across the street from Warner Brothers in Burbank. And I was just so out of it. I mean, I was just like, and for whatever reason, I mean, I still hadn't really been going to church, but for whatever reason, as I pushed the door open at Modern Video Film, I just said, Lord, whatever your will is. And so I'm sitting in the Henry Suite, which was a digital computer platform where they would do a lot of paint work and again, stuff you could do on an average PC now, but then you had this, it probably cost $100,000 for a seat of that. And then they build another $200,000 room around it, and that's what kind of room we were in. And I'm sitting there with Jim, and he was like, hey, good to see you. And they were editing some promos for a pilot that he was helping put together. And now we were in the Henry Suite, but then this other guy named Henry, his name was Henry. he comes bouncing in the room and he's like, "Hey, Jim." He's like, "Who's your friend?"
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Oh, this is Bob." He's like, "Hey, Bob, what do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm a computer animator." And Henry's a very bouncy kind of guy. He literally jumped a foot backward. And he's like, "Really? Got a demo reel?" And
in my pocket. Well, here you go.
Yeah. VHS crammed in my back pocket. So I'm like, of course I do. Uh-huh. And so he brought down their lead 2D artist that was working on their Flame system there, which was another high-end graphics system at the time. And there was my piano playing weasel opening up the demo reel. And I could see them shoot eyes at each other. And I was like, oh my gosh. And as soon as the demo reel was done, I was like, Henry was like, "Come up to my office." So again, remember, no sleep. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, and he's like, he asked me a few questions, but it really got down to how much you need to earn, how quick can you get here from Kentucky? And I'm like going, I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. And
then I'll never forget the last question of the interview was duck season or wabbit season. I don't even remember what I said. I probably said duck season because I don't want him to shoot Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
But it was so awesome being asked that question right across the street from Warner Brothers.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
So I was there in 2 weeks. Uh-huh. So, I mean, I had to close down all my affairs in Louisville.
Well, let's just say you went home and you said, "Mom, Dad, guess what?"
Oh, I called.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I immediately called my current employer too. And VideoBred was not too happy with me.
Yeah.
But they got over it.
Yeah.
And now my buddy Jamie owns VideoBred. So me and VideoBred are good. But yeah, within 2 weeks, I had to get back home, clean out my apartment, load up the truck, say goodbye to everybody at VideoBred. And that was hard. That was the best job I had ever had. Mm-hmm. And still one of the best jobs I ever had. Mm-hmm. It was so much fun there. But there was a new chapter opening up. Mm-hmm. And
folks were happy for you at this point?
Yeah. My mom never knew what to make of my career goals. Mm. She was a very loving mom and very good to me. But saying I want to be an animator just sounded unrealistic. Mm-hmm. And after I'd been in Hollywood about a year, she apologized and said, I'm sorry. I didn't think you'd ever make it.
Wow.
I didn't know how to take that.
That's tough to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in her mind, it wasn't anything against me. It was that in her mind, there were a million other people that wanted to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. So why would I be one of the ones that got to break through? Mm-hmm. But again, it's like, I really attribute it all to God putting me where he wanted me to be at what time. And the fact that I basically surrendered to him going into that door at Modern Video Film. Mm-hmm. He was waiting on me to do that. Yeah. I was trying to do under my own power before. How am I going to get to Hollywood? Mm-hmm. How am I going to get these projects done?
Yeah.
And even still, when I was sitting with the guy from Home Improvement out front of Modern Video Film, he kind of gave me some coaching a little bit, because I was trying to figure out how much do I need to earn to survive in California. And but he goes, "Well, what are your goals?" And like the goofy kid I was, I'm like, I'd like to be like Lucas or Spielberg. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with Jim had actually worked at Lucasfilm a little bit, I think as an intern, and he had helped with some storyboards with Ron Howard on on Willow. Mm-hmm. But he very graciously, he didn't chuckle or anything, mm-hmm. He guided me well. Mm-hmm. But circling back to my first time out there, that false start, when I moved to Burbank, I was like, they had me working, we were sleeping under a desk for the first few months I was there.
Yeah.
I went out in September. So up until the end of the year, it was just work. Do
you mean you literally were sleeping under your desk, or you're like, I've been here a lot and I don't have a home?
No, we slept on the desk.
Like you did not have an apartment?
Oh, I had an apartment.
Okay.
And I even had a cat by then, but he didn't see me much.
Okay.
But we were, when they asked me about the project they wanted me to work on, it was 3D tracking, and there was no such thing as 3D tracking at the time. And we were working on a trailer for Disney for the upcoming 101 Dalmatians live action. And they were wanting to put Dalmatian spots on world monuments, Leaning Tower of Pisa, the pyramids, and they wanted to do the Statue of Liberty. And they had stock footage of helicopter shot around the Statue of Liberty. And they had a probably scanned off of a Times Square toy of the Statue of Liberty viewpoint model that undoubtedly did not match the real Statue of Liberty.
Right.
And somehow I was supposed to track it so we could create a mat with those spots to put on the real Statue of Liberty. So I had to animate that by hand. And so when he said, "Can you do that?" I'd tried before and failed. We tried messing around with a little bit of tracking at VideoBred, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
But, when you're asked if you can do something, if you want to get a job in Hollywood, the answer is yes, I can do that. So that was scary because I had uprooted everything, burned a bridge, the best job I'd ever had, and I could completely crash and burn. And we managed to do it. They still had to do some finessing in the flame afterwards because there was no way, even now with today's technology, you would not get a perfect track with that model and that footage.
Yeah. It sounds like you've been doing consistently this same thing of, I just believe that I'm supposed to be doing X, so I am going to do X. You did that at the gas station. You did that with the track. You did that with going to California the first time. It's like every time is like, yeah, but I'm supposed to be here and I believe in what I'm doing. And is that your belief in yourself, or is that you just being inquisitive on what's next?
Well, I'm always looking over the horizon. I'm always asking questions. I'm always looking for a better way to do things. But my journey back to God happened when I got to Burbank, because that foundation had been laid on the previous visit, and I started going back up to Rocky Peak because I went back to Kentucky for Christmas, and then once I got back in January, I started going up to that church, and I was single, so I went to the singles group, but the preacher was amazing. The singles group was
not so
much. And you could tell the guy leading it was kind of on his way out, and, nothing against him, but, he was ready to move on. And so there were only like 15 or 20 people that were showing up. And I only was able to make myself go every other week. I would come out of the main service and then kind of stand there between the buildings going, I should go up there. And I'm like, after I'd gone for, I don't know, 2-3 times. We were having a group discussion, and I heard this voice behind me that I hadn't heard before. And I'm like, who's that? Turned out it was my future wife. And so here I am. I've only been in LA 4 months, 5 months. We started dating, and it was fast. In another month or so, we were engaged.
Wow.
We got married the following January. So it was like life just went.
Yeah.
But I was at that church until I left California. Almost 30 years, 29 years I was there. And so made so many friends at that church. The guy that works with me, writing for our projects and helped me produce, I met him there. So it's like, again, the Lord put me the way I got the job at the track, VideoBred, a modern video film. And then even when I ended up at Disney, I had left modern video film I was newly married. I was getting so much work out of Louisville. I felt like I should focus on that. And then my main client got bought out, and then that went away.
Mm.
I was like, now what? And I put like 30 resumes out, nothing. And I had interviewed at DreamQuest Images. Originally was an independent visual effects house. I'd interviewed there once before while I was at Modern.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't understand a film pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
For CG animation, you're either a modeler or a texture artist or a lighting artist
or rigging
or animator. And so when I was in that interview, they were like, well, what do you do? And I said, what do you need? And so that was not the right answer.
No, yeah.
But I didn't know it wasn't the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I hit this dry spot, I had put a number of resumes out. There was one show in particular that I probably a mutual acquaintance could have set me up with. It wasn't my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to do it. And so I held out. And I ended up working for a company right around the corner I could walk to on a project for NASA. And about a month into that project, it was supposed to be a 3-month project. And about a month into it, DreamQuest called. And so I went and interviewed with them. And now this time, this was 1998. Nobody knew what previs was, but DreamQuest was forming a previs department. And they were one of the first. I'm sure ILM probably beat them to the punch, but there really was no such thing. Directors didn't know what to do with it. Even visual effects supervisors were only figuring out how to do previs. And so the guy that ran the previs department was aware of my resume because everybody else was, I'm a lighter, I'm a modeler, I'm a texture artist. And I was like, because of VideoBred, because of modern video film. Yeah. I don't even know if we had the term generalist then.
Right.
So I was like one of his top picks to help flesh out their previs department. And so in the blink of an eye, I'm working for Disney because Disney bought DreamQuest Images. And because they had just come off of doing I think Pirates of the Caribbean and Armageddon, and they were doing all the Jerry Bruckheimer movies. Yeah. And so Disney was like, we keep hiring these guys. Why don't we just buy them?
Yeah.
And so Hoyt Yateman, who founded DreamQuest Images, part of the negotiation was that DreamQuest would be considered part of feature animation and get all the perks, the silver pass to Disneyland, the benefits packages, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was considered part of feature animation. And it was a weird gig in many ways. I loved it, but I was in the second building. They had a first building where like their main crews were.
Mm-hmm.
And they bought the second building behind them to put the model shop in there, which was awesome because I always made an excuse to walk to the other building through the model shop. Yeah. I was like, these are the real artists here, these guys. But the only other departments back there was the art department, which was 2 guys, and us, the previs department. And then they had a couple of makeshift offices that every now and then they put a flame in there, or a producer might be in there, but it was very few of us in that building.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole facility was on SGI. They were all
Silicon Graphics
running Maya, which was probably still version 1. And I was on a PC. We got to pick whatever we wanted to work on. So the guy next to me was on a Mac, I was on a PC, and my supervisor, he was a PC guy. So there's really 3 of us at that point in time. And I did very little previs. I did a little bit of previs on Bicentennial Man, Mission to Mars. But it was cool because since I was kind of a jack of all trades, I got to do all kinds of stuff. We were even doing like development work for the studio at one point. They had movie ideas and I'm thinking, you guys don't have people in Burbank? We were out in Simi Valley, 45 minutes away from the studio. They had me making maquettes. I was doing digital sculpts on potential movie characters. I did some elements for matte paintings on some of the films. I mean, I got to do a little bit of everything, which was perfect for me.
Yeah.
But the coolest thing that happened was Matthew Broderick's Inspector Gadget was already in production when I started there. And they didn't like how the test screenings were going. And so they were like, we need to do something. And they were wanting to put a character on the dashboard of the Gadget Mobile that would talk to Inspector Gadget. And I didn't even understand what they were asking for at first. It's like a face on the dashboard. I was like, what? And then they were in such a hurry. One of the art directors and myself, we just started sketching down ideas. And it kind of centered around like a golf ball type character that's just a sphere. But the Gadget Mobile was one of those classic Lincoln convertibles with the suicide doors on it and the quad headlights and really beautiful automobile. So I was like, let's make it look like the car. And so the art director and myself, I don't remember which part was his and which part was mine, but we literally folded our drawings in half, and the top was one drawing and the bottom was another drawing. And so I scanned that in and jumped in 3D Studio, and I stayed late that evening, and within a few hours I had modeled the character and built a few morph targets for it. And I found the internet was brand new then. This was even pre-Google. In fact, I remember one day somebody going, have you tried Google? But back then you had to go through like 12 different search engines to try and find any sort of results. Yeah. Well, I had found a little audio file of David Letterman saying, complimentary beverage, help yourself. And so I quickly animated that character to say that line of dialogue and rendered it out. So within a day or two, I had the powers that be at my desk watching this character go, complimentary beverage, help yourself. And, this was my television background because television producers would always see the latest movie and want it and have like 1% of the budget and 0.001% of the time.
Yeah.
And you had to figure out how to get 90% of the way there in 10% of the time. And so I came in there with that television mentality. And when you're in film, you research it, you develop it, you build the pipeline. It's this long process. And so here I am in 2 days going, here you go. And they're like, what? And so that little animation I did ended up in all the test screenings of Inspector Gadget. And then the powers that be changed at the studio. And, or actually, no, not yet. The guy that was in charge of the studio wanted a different direction for the character. So they designed something that was more consistent with the rest of the film, with all sorts of levers and pistons and what have you. It made him look hip hop with a hat that spun around. So then they did their traditional pipeline of bringing in the modelers and the texture artists and the shader writers. And,
and
I have no idea how big the crew was, but my guess would be that, probably a dozen people over 6 months, just total speculation there. And I forgot about it. And then just probably 6 weeks before the movie was supposed to come out, then the powers that be changed at the studio. And whoever took over was like, whatever happened to that little golf ball guy that looked like the car? I liked him a lot better. Well, of course, DreamQuest had wrapped that crew that animated that character. And so one day I look up and there's like, the heads of the departments over my desk, and I'm like, oh, you always get this pit in your stomach, like, what have I done?
Uh-huh.
And they're like, you remember that little guy you animated? And I'm like, yeah. You think you could do that for the movie? And I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, you got 2 weeks and we need 16 shots. Don't even think about getting any voiceover because they haven't recorded it yet.
Uh-huh.
And so I basically, they handed me the 16 shots that had already been done and asked me to mimic the timing and the movements. But every time you see that character in the actual movie, he's saying complimentary beverage, help yourself.
How cool is that? If like your family now sees this kind of thing, or you tell this story and people find that, and that's really just kind of like one of those like hidden gems that is like, hey, this is my stamp on this, right? And there's a story to not just this. It's like there's a little bit more to the film now. You know what I mean? It's like hearing about the shoe or whatever that was in Star Wars that was supposed to be like a ship or something. I don't know. So, I mean, but you hear about that stuff, and it's like, oh, that was really cool. That's how that happened, or that's why that was.
Yeah.
And sometimes the naked eye doesn't catch those things. But the people that were a part of it can actually kind of point those out and say, that was my stamp, you know?
Yeah. Well, it was fun to actually get something on screen.
Yeah.
Because everything else I did was all development work and never saw the light of day. So, yeah, it was fun to, I mean, if you really want to get down to it, I helped design a Disney character.
Well, I mean, that's not many people can say that.
Yeah.
What happened next? Like you continued to work for someone else, or?
This was the late 90s, and they were merging DreamQuest with another unit. And funny enough, they were moving them to Burbank. And 1 week after we had closed on our new house, which was still on the other side of the hill in the San Fernando Valley, but the leader of the motion picture division comes out and gathers us all together, and he's like, don't anybody buy a house out here because we're moving you to Burbank. But I kind of got a sense of the future wasn't bright. DreamQuest was an amazing operation, and they had a real family feel to it. Because Hoyt started in his garage. The guy that had been helping him operate had been there since the early days. So even though they sold it to Disney, these people were still on board. That I guess that helped maintain that family environment there. But they were about to get absorbed, Disney style, and the unit that they were going to be merging with had just finished on a movie called Dinosaur, which I don't think many people remember. But I believe it had live action backplates, and they put animated dinosaurs on it, and they worked on it for 7 years. And a lot of talented people on that movie, but I think it was just a misguided project. Spent way too much money on it. And so they put these two units together, and true Disney fashion, let it sit for 2 years and then closed it.
Yeah.
And so I was already doing more freelance work at night than I was doing during the day while I was at Disney. And I was like, well, I've got that credit now. It was my life's goal to work for Disney, and here I was after 2 years going, I think it's time to move on.
Yeah.
And so in February of the year 2000, I started my own company, 3D Bob Productions. And that's still what I do to this day.
What was the first job for 3D Bob?
An animated Bill Cosby.
Okay.
And we did not know what a creeper he was at the time.
Of course not. Yeah, he was top of the world for a minute.
Oh my goodness. He was a childhood hero of mine between Fat Albert and the Cosby show when I was older. I mean, that was it.
Yeah.
He was the biggest name in the business there for a while. So to have that opportunity, I had connected with some of the guys in the promotion department at Carsey Werner Productions, and they produced the second Cosby show. It was just called Cosby. And back then there were these Lipton iced tea commercials that had little stop motion characters that would battle it out in the ring, and they wanted something like that. And so I sculpted a physical Cosby caricature. There was no 3D scanning at the time, so it was this pen. So you draw your wireframe on it, and then this pen, you just plot the points. And so I created this caricature of Cosby, and we did 5 different spots of him dancing. We had we spelled out Cosby in big Jello chunks that came down, and it was a very cool first gig. It got some coverage in trade magazines and stuff.
That's cool.
Opened some other doors.
That's cool.
But it was a great first little gig.
Did you stay in LA or California area for 3D Bob when it kicked off?
Yes, I was there until a year and a half ago.
A year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you got in there and you thought, all right, 3D Bob's about to take off. I need to build out hardware, software. I need people. I need this is in my apartment. Like, what are we doing?
I found a office space on Cahuenga right across from Universal. That was monthly. I got a $30,000 loan, and so that enabled me to pay rent. I got another. I leased a Digibeta deck because I wanted to be able to just output my work directly without having to always carry my files across town or something. And I brought in contractors, so I paid them out of the budget so the project would come in. But it was tight.
Yeah,
it was really tight. And even when you get a boost like the Cosby project, that money goes fast.
Yeah.
And most of the money that comes in off of it goes to your artists. But I mean, I couldn't afford proper workstations.
Yeah.
I had bought basically some Dell Office computers, and we were working on those. Got us through.
Yeah.
But it was tough. But we found out after being at that space 6 months that they were going to tear that building down.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And so we found another spot in Burbank on Magnolia Avenue. There's just one little production company after another. And we found a space on the corner. Now it's a beauty salon. But we moved in that space, and I had a partner working with me for a couple of years, and he would go out and do sales while I was doing most of the work. But we were still trying to build up a talent pool because most of the talent pool was still geared towards the high-end equipment, knowing SGI and Flint and Flame, and we're running 3D Studio and the baby version of Flame, which was Combustion, was their PC-based compositing software. So it would be easy for network shows to just kind of look down on us as these little, but what I didn't know is that the visual effects business is a race to the bottom. They wanted the best work for the least amount of money.
Right.
And so we were relatively cheap compared to the established guys. And so we got some gigs, undoubtedly only because of that fact. But, and my partner at the time was new to the industry. And he was like, about sales, got to make those sales. Let's get those sales. And he oversold. And we had just coming off doing the season finale of a show that was very grueling. It was rewarding, and it was the second sequence we'd done for these guys. And success. But the problem was he had sold another series finale to another show. And what they were wanting was very complicated. It was really, even on, higher end machinery, and it was just a tough sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran out of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those moments where I was literally I'd been at the computer so long, I could hardly hold my head up, and I'm hitting keys like this. And the effects supervisors are, glaring at me over my shoulder. And I'm just like, how did I get here?
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, they paid their bill, even though we failed.
Mm-hmm.
But we picked ourselves back up and kept going. And the guy that I told you about from my church that I work with,
Mm-hmm.
his career had been, Jeff had been at ABC Saturday Morning as his first VP job,
Mm-hmm.
which led to him ending up at Hanna-Barbera in the days when they were forming Cartoon Network.
Mm-hmm.
When I met him, he was working at Sony Wonder, overseeing like distribution of Sesame Street and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we started talking, and he was like, I'm going to be working on this project for this ministry. I'm going to get out of the Hollywood scene, and I want to go into more ministry-oriented projects. And he'd been talking to this group out of Florida that wanted to make like a 45-minute Jesus movie that they could use in their ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up working on that project together. He actually worked for the client, and I was the vendor. And so we expanded our studios, brought on like 20 people. And this was 2002.
This is in the salon.
No, we had to expand out of there.
Okay.
We ended up near the Burbank Airport in about 8,000 square feet.
Okay.
And I learned so much
Mm-hmm.
on that project, and very little, but was learning CG.
Mm-hmm.
It was really my first time managing a team, managing a big project.
Yeah.
And about everything that could go wrong did.
What's the biggest challenge when it comes to going from small things that you really have your hands in everything to like, hey, there's a lot of moving parts in this, and I need to systematically go through it. Like, what's the biggest challenge?
People.
Finding them or managing them?
Both.
Yeah.
At the time, again, we were still dealing with VHS demo reels.
Yeah.
And we would have to go through 50 reels to find one good candidate
Mm-hmm.
to interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I had budgeted the project as if there were a dozen of me working on it.
Yeah.
That was my only frame of reference.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand how other people worked or operated.
Whether you were fast or whether you were slow.
Yeah. And I really didn't understand people
Mm-hmm.
either. This project went for about a year and a half. And we started out as kind of like this group of 8 people, and we ended up just, there were a couple of overages that we, had to bill for, that were tough. And we brought, and we even tried bringing in seasoned professionals that had worked on feature films and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is that our highest performing people were the interns that we hired. And it was because they were hungry to learn.
Mm-hmm.
They were willing to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But there was also, I'm looking for the right way to put it, because, we had good people working for us, but I guess it's just human nature.
Mm-hmm.
I had the attitude of, man, this kind of goes back to my mom going, I didn't think you'd make it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for me, I was like massively grateful that I was working in the industry that I had wanted to. And I was thinking, who wouldn't be grateful
Mm-hmm.
to be an animator? You certainly don't pick it to make money.
Right.
There's so much downturns, it's not stable.
Mm-hmm.
So you certainly don't pick it as a big career choice of going, boy, I'm going to make it big in animation.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say not everybody's as dedicated to the project.
Right.
You know, I'll do my work. I will do my work well. But at the end of the day, I'm out of here, you know, and, you know, whether the project succeeds or not really doesn't make much of a difference to me. I'd never seen that before. You know, that was hard to register how to deal with that. You know, I think we've seen more of that in our culture over these years since.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. And,
how did you handle that?
just the best I could. I mean, sometimes I was just worn out. Just had no energy for any of it.
Did you dismiss the people that weren't as invested as you? Or did you just, all right, I'm not bringing on any more people like that. I'm just starting to stack up with the hungry.
I guess the frustration for me, and I mean, I get it on the other side. I've been on the other side. I've moaned and complained, and there's, you know, going back to the gas station, you know, that one of the things that came out of my mouth, I someday I'll just hear it at a moment, and it'll just echo, and I'll just cringe. The guy that gave me a job, I was mad at him, and I said, well, someday I'm going to have a real job. You know, so it's like, we're all guilty of that at some point in our lives, you know? So I'm this isn't meant to be an indictment of anybody that's worked for me.
Yes, Sarah, John.
But it was a tough situation because I was a first-time business owner.
Yeah.
My daughter had just been born. We had just bought our house. I was committed to 8,000 square feet for 3 years. I mean, I was stretched this thin.
Yeah.
And here was this great opportunity. And I was part of the problem too, because instead of, this was my lesson learned, the project was called The God Man. And it was a CG 45-minute Jesus movie. The blessing is that it's been seen by, I don't even know how many at this point, at least like 500 million worldwide.
Yeah.
Nobody in America knows it exists, but they've used it worldwide, and they're still using it to this very day, 25 years later, which is amazing. But at the time, I let my goals get in the way of the successful completion of that project. I was like, this should be a movie. You know, 45 minutes, we've already built these great looking assets. It would only take that, you know, a little bump, and it could be feature quality.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't understand business. You know, it's going to take the client a while to go back to their donors and present it and get an answer. And we were in production.
Yeah.
We couldn't wait. And so I should have just zipped my lip.
Yeah.
Said, this is the project that I've been hired to do. I'm going to do my best with it. Then we can go make a movie.
Yeah.
But, you know, you learn from life, and I had not learned yet. So there were all these stressors going on. But I guess the thing that flabbergasted me as a leader was, I was like, if I create an artist-friendly environment, these people will thrive and they'll feel a part of what we're doing. So one thing we did, like I think it was either the special editions of Star Wars or the prequels were coming out. And, you know, my wife and I, like when the special editions of Star Wars came out, we went to see each one at the Chinese theater, stood in line for 4 hours, and that whole thing. And so I wanted to do that for the crew. And again, the internet was still very young, and they were also limiting like how many tickets any one person could buy. So the office manager and myself were jumbling multiple credit cards, and we were trying to get like 20 seats, which was next to impossible to do. Yeah. We pulled it off. We got 20 seats for the guys, or how many there were. And only one person said thank you.
Wow.
And one other person was like, well, can't my girlfriend come? And it was just like, you know, it's you could shake your head and judge it, but it was me again going, well, someday I'll have a real job. You know, you know, they didn't understand what it really took to get that for them.
Yeah.
And then later too, I had a contact at Disney television animation.
Mm-hmm.
That from day one, I mean, I told you Cosby was my first project, but my first phone call was Disney television animation.
Mm-hmm.
And so we set up a luncheon where we brought the contact from Disney over, and we opened it up to our crew. We said, if you have a project you'd like to pitch to Disney, we'll take it to Disney and split it 50-50 with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had the contact, we were able to get it in front of them,
mm-hmm.
but we recognize that this is your project,
mm-hmm.
you know, and so we looked at it as a business opportunity. And the gossip I heard secondhand swirling around was we were trying to steal their ideas.
Mm.
And I was like, I don't need your ideas.
Yeah.
I was like, I got plenty of ideas. Ideas
mm-hmm.
are cheap.
Yeah. You thought you were giving somebody a leg up to get exposure, and they took it as you were trying to scoop off them because you didn't have nothing.
Yeah. So those were some disappointments, and I certainly get where some of them had grievances.
Yeah.
There were certainly things that were handled poorly.
Yeah.
But those were huge lessons learned for me early on. And now
mm-hmm.
to this day, I make sure that the project that I'm working on, I'm going to meet the specs that were given and do the best I can with that one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting perspective. I'm going to tell you, for me, this has been a very, very good interview for me because I relate a lot to a lot of the things that you're saying. I, in my own process or my own journey, have come across a lot of similarities, and I see how you handle them, and I've seen how I've had to handle some of my life, and yeah, it's very similar in a lot of these things, and it's like great to hear some of the experience that you've had, jumping through these. So thank you first off for that. That's pretty amazing to get to experience that and get to ask any question I want, at the end of the day. So, but thank you for that. That's very eye opening and something I'm gonna think through as I go forward in my career as well and my company. So
sure thing.
What got you to transition to Texas?
I'd been struggling with California for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
I went there. I mean, my whole childhood. I mean, I started getting into Walt Disney when I was in elementary school. Star Wars came out when I was 8.
Mm-hmm.
I knew from a very young age I was going to live in California.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love Kentucky. I'll always consider Kentucky my home.
Mm-hmm.
But it just got way too difficult to live there.
Yeah. Cost-wise or lifestyle or?
Well, I mean, like the house that we bought in 1999, we bought it and it was in a nice area. I mean, we were only one block over from a busy avenue, but we were in a cul-de-sac, and for LA, it was a peaceful cul-de-sac. As peaceful as it could be there. But a few years ago, the homelessness started creeping into our area. I mean, we were in the most northwestern corner of the San Fernando Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, traditionally, that's where horse ranches are. There still are. There used to be some movie backlots up there where they would shoot Westerns.
Mm-hmm.
First time Superman ever took flight was off of Stony Point up the hill from where we lived.
Mm-hmm.
Lone Ranger used to film where our church, is located now. So it was nice, peaceful end of the valley.
Mm-hmm.
And so the homelessness started encroaching.
Yeah.
There's nothing like sitting at the red light and watching some guy with his pants around his ankles go across the street. They can barely walk, and you're trying to raise your kids. My kids are both grown now, but our situation kind of changed. My wife was nearing retirement, and I just started talking to her. I knew from my time in Kentucky that, life could be different, less frazzled and hurry here, hurry there.
Yeah.
I took a film crew to Alabama a few years back, and everybody just loved it from LA. They was like, "Oh, it's amazing." They'd never had Waffle House. Took them to Waffle House, and we got back to LA. And as soon as we're trying to get on the 405, some guy flips us the bird because he thinks we cut him off, and they're like, "Well, home. We're home."
Welcome home.
But the crime started entering our neighborhood. There was a home invasion a street over. There was. The very night my wife and I walked down to the corner to go eat, another couple was doing the same, and some guy randomly pulled off to the side of the road and started beating on him.
Wow.
So these things started happening, and the taxes were already high, utilities through the roof. And everybody's like, "Oh, I'm here because I love the weather." I'm like, I'm working all the time.
Yeah.
I never see the ocean. I never see the weather. But it was harder for my wife. She immigrated here from the Philippines when she was about 13 or 14. Lived in LA ever since. And so it was harder for her because LA was really all she'd known.
Yeah. But
now that we're here in Texas, like my wife just the other night, she was like, I sure like it here. There's not the big hustle bustle, and she's doing substitute teaching now instead of being a full-time teacher. So less pressure. She's leading a Bible study and making lots of friends. And so I'm thrilled to see that she's, connecting here and really enjoying it.
Putting in roots.
Yeah. Yeah. And the amazing thing too is, as expensive as the houses are in LA, they're cramped. You don't have much room, both in your yard and your house. There's not much closet space, and it's like we sold our house and we're able to buy cash here. Sorry, Texas. I'm sorry. But it came after 25 years of scraping to make the ends meet in LA. So we worked hard to be able to get to the point where we could do that here.
Yeah.
But we've got some elbow room. We're not measuring our yard in square feet. We're measuring it in acres. And and there's a place for everything in our house. There's a huge attic for the stuff we want to save for our son later when he has his own place.
When he finds Texas.
Oh, he's here.
There you go.
But, he'll eventually move out and have an apartment. And so we'll be like, oh, we should have saved that coffee table. We should have saved, so you put that in the attic. It's like, we couldn't do that in LA.
Yeah.
Most people park their cars in their driveway because their garage was their attic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't realize how that affects your mentality. It sounds frivolous, but so many times, like when something would break in the house, I'd be like, I've got to pull 4 things out of the way in the garage just to get to the toolbox. And I don't even remember if I left the screwdriver there. So you don't fix it.
Yeah.
Or like when I moved, I discovered that I owned 16 screwdrivers because I just kept buying a new one because I can't find where I put it. Now I know where every single one of my tools are.
Yeah. So
just those simple little things just affect your peace of mind and how you go about the day. It's so weird. You don't realize it until you kind of experience the difference.
I've done a lot of traveling across the world, and I don't know if I love Texas because it's home or if I love it because it's the greatest state ever made. But I do love it. It's so great. It's peaceful. People are nice.
Yeah.
I got space. I live in the country on a few acres, and I can go in my backyard, and it's just nice. I don't have to listen to people talk next door. Yeah. It's really great.
I did a good bit of research. It took us a year to find our house. And I also looked at all the other states where California people were going, well, what's the draw there? But I knew I had a tropical wife that wouldn't want to live somewhere like Wyoming or Idaho. But she's definitely a city girl, and she also loves having, like the thing that we can get here, it's that combination of what I grew up with in Kentucky and the good things about LA. That
Dallas.
she can, I mean, we've been to the symphony orchestra a number of times. You know, it feels like we live in the sticks, but we are just 30 to 45 minutes away from everything.
Yes.
There's Asian markets here that she can enjoy, you know, a wide variety of different types of restaurants, you know. So this was a really good compromise for the two of us.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we ended up where we did.
Well, I tell you what, I'm glad you guys are here too, and I didn't know that you guys were. I'm sure I will be in contact with you more in the future, even if I'm just picking your brain for things.
Sure.
I mean, it's really cool because coming into a new world like this, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people knew who you were, you know, in your circle, in your area. You know, it's like even at your office, you know, and then all of a sudden you turn the page.
It was hard because you're saying goodbye to 30 years worth of friends.
Yeah.
And there are days where I wake up and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in Texas. Because when you've been somewhere that long, that feels like reality.
Yeah.
So some of it is just getting used to the new surroundings. I've enjoyed it from the moment we got here, but only now am I starting to figure out where everything is and those sorts of little details. But it's been a great fit for us.
Well, as we close this out, what projects are you working on currently?
We are in production right now on, well, actually, I've been working for Dr. Ben Carson for about 4 years now. He has an organization called American Cornerstone Institute, and their focus is on creating curriculum for homeschool kids, and often private schools are picking up on it. And so we're kind of their schoolhouse rock. We've been doing short animated episodes of a series called Spangled Adventures. And every episode is about 7 minutes roughly and focuses on a moment in American history. And so it kind of breaks all the rules of animation because for each 7-minute episode, we're building new sets, props, characters. But it's been a great run. We've done 47 episodes for them. And for the last year, we've been in production on a Star Spangled Adventures movie that will be wrapping in May. Right now, the plan is to premiere it at the Trump Kennedy Center in June. Okay. And so that it's roughly 80 minutes where we're focusing on all 250 years of American history, and we kind of see it through our character that has been the host of all the episodes is Liberty the Eagle. And she's been the teacher in those episodes, but we made this kind of a prequel where Liberty is on her assignment for the first time. And so we've called her the Spirit of Freedom. So she's not a time traveler, but she can be wherever she wants, whenever she wants. And so we decided to give her a nemesis, Tyrannus the Crow, who's trying to mess everything up. And so we kind of see it through that filter. And then on for our human characters, we see the historical events through this family called the Wigglesthorpes. And so we start all the way back in the days of George Washington and go all the way up to modern times. Okay. Through this family, because obviously with a 250-year arc, you can't follow one character. So we made it a family. So yeah, we're getting really close to having this wrapped up, and we'll be posting the beginning of May. And so that's what's going on right now. Yeah. We got a virtual pipeline set up with artists coast to coast. But a number of them are in the Dallas area, which is pretty cool.
So you're doing everything virtually now, or do you have a home here, a home base here?
I don't have an actual facility here, but everything's rendered on site, and the servers are with me and such. But everybody works from their home on their own gear, and we share all the files in the cloud, and it's worked pretty well. Yeah, and this has been a great crew. They've even though for some of them I haven't even met in person yet. I know them like a brother. It's really an interesting world we live in now. Yeah.
You got so much firepower going on at the house. They got looking at your roof to see if you're mining Bitcoins now, right? So
they're probably wondering why my meter's spinning so fast.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll tell you this, man. This has been a really good interview that I've been happy to be a part of, man.
Well,
honestly, like
appreciate you having me.
Yeah, you gave me a lot of insights and some things I'm gonna glean back, and I hope you don't mind if I just kind of reach out and ask you some questions and stuff, because you have a lot of experience that I'd like to have some insights on. If you
no doubt, that'd be great.
Okay.
Did you want to know about this at all? Or?
Oh yeah, hit me with that one time. This. I asked you to bring a project, and I asked you to bring something in that kind of reflected, that was something about your history, and you brought in this blue book. What is this?
Yeah, I'll pick it up. So, this is my grandfather's cruise book from World War II. He was on the USS Tennessee, which was a battleship that was actually built in 1917. The Tennessee was at Pearl Harbor, and was right next to the Arizona. Mm. So they were actually shielded by all of the smoke from the Arizona. And only 8 men died on the Tennessee that day. My grandfather was still a kid on the farm at the time in high school, but his cousin, Edwin Puckett, was on board the Arizona and died that day. Mm. And I didn't know much about this growing up. And then my junior year in high school, that's when we took American history in Kentucky. And we were assigned a big, long project where we had to do a massive report. Mm-hmm. And so I chose, I think my dad mentioned it. He was like, well, your grandfather was on a battleship. You should ask him about that. And so I did interviews with my grandfather. That's when I first saw this book. It says to Bonnie Sue here, which is my mother. This affected me a lot. Mm-hmm. Not just the fact that, my grandfather was on this ship for 2 years. And he didn't even meet my mother until after the war. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think she was 2 years old before he met her. Mm-hmm. But, there were men that, didn't fare as well as my grandfather in the war. But, and I had the privilege of meeting many of his shipmates in 2005 when they dedicated, there's a museum behind a high school in, I think it's Scott County, Tennessee. That's this log cabin that they filled with artifacts from his ship, and they were opening that museum. And I interviewed about 30 of the vets. And one, that was just amazing.
Yeah.
But I hope to make a movie about this ship one day, because it went from being at Pearl Harbor to their biggest battle was in Surigao Strait in the Philippines, where a huge column of the Japanese Navy was coming up the strait, and they couldn't turn to the left or to the right. Mm-hmm. And all those old battle wagons from Pearl Harbor were waiting on them at the mouth of that strait. And it's interesting because they did this maneuver called crossing the T, and the nickname of the Tennessee was the Big T. Mm-hmm. And so as that column's coming up, the American ships were up here, and they were able to train all of their big guns on that column and just decimated them. Uh-huh. There was destroyers that were coming up and down the sides, and so they just had that. And what was amazing was the radio operator on the Tennessee heard the chatter, and they were like, "Oh, those old battle wagons are expendable." Yet those same old ships in the middle of the night came through, and it's pretty amazing. My grandfather told me that night they were all thrown out of their bunks. All the lockers were burst open. They thought they'd been hit. And the chaplain used to be the one that would call the shots to the men. And he came on the speaker and he's like, "How'd you guys like that? That was our first 12-gun salvo."
Oh, man.
So it was their own firepower that rocked the ship that much. Because usually, they had 4 turrets. Uh-huh. with 3 guns each. And so you'd usually, aim them all independently and fire them one at a time.
Yeah.
But just because of the nature of oncoming enemy, we had radar. The Japanese did not. So they're firing flares into the sky trying to see what in the world's going on. All they're doing is going, here we are, here we are.
Exactly.
But so it was, I would have loved just once in my life to felt one of those big guns go off and just feel it in
your chest.
Yeah. But yeah, I went through this book so many times. And the interesting thing too, as an artist, there's all these illustrations that were done by a guy. I hope I get his name right, but I think it was Hamp Law. And to me, it was, I mean, I know this guy was just a crew member that could draw, and so he got the assignment. But to me, it was like, I grew up on his drawings the same way I grew up on like Ollie Johnston's drawings or somebody else's, And this guy put so much personality into the drawings that he would make. I know that a lot of people would find some of them not very politically correct these days, but they were depicting the people that were trying to kill them. So I'll cut them a little slack. Some of the depictions, but just my love of history, I think a lot of it just came from this book and knowing my grandfather's experiences in the South Pacific.
And it's another one of those things where the smoke covering up that ship was just one of those moments where the butterfly effect, it worked out for you, and here you are, and here are the things you're changing, the things that you're doing in your life, all because of a little smoke.
I went to Pearl Harbor, I think it was 2004, when it actually fell on a Sunday. And man, that was a moving service. But, there were still vets with us then. We've just now lost the last vets of the Arizona. But there was a man from the West Virginia there signing autographs on, he had little plastic lays, and he was signing them. And he was on the West Virginia, which was outboard to the Tennessee. And I had just been to the gift shop, and I saw that they had USS Tennessee caps. And they actually looked like this, which was how the ship looked when my grandfather was on it. And so I like cleaned them out, and here, Paul, here, Dad, here's mine. I'm gonna take these home. So the guy from the West Virginia saw my grandfather standing there, Tennessee cap, and he was like, "We took all your torpedoes."
How fun. Well, that's awesome, man. I tell you what, that's holding on to a bit of the past and being thankful for the people that have gone and done those things before you and actually helped you build the life that you have today. I appreciate that, man. It's we need more of that in this world. So, and I can't thank you enough for being on and the story you've told. And I hope to have more of these conversations. And man, I wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you.
Can you want to tell the people where they can find you at?
I wish I had a URL to send you to. If you want to see Star Spangled Adventures, you can go to littlepatriotslearning.com, and you'll see most of the episodes have been released there. There's still a few to come. You could also go to starspangledadventures.com so that you could get the updates on our feature film.
Very cool. Well, again, thank you for being on the show. And until next time, everyone, that's the Blueprint.